How many of you are familiar with Reminiscence? I've spoken quite a bit about Patchouli from the house of Reminiscence, which used to be a jewelry house, but now the jewelry house or the brand is separate and the fragrances are separate, and Reminiscence has rebranded the fragrances. And I'm going to talk to you about 4 different patchouli fragrances in this video. If you're a patchouli lover like me, you probably have discovered the OG patchouli from the house of Reminiscence, but now it's called Le Patchouli. I'm going to talk to you about Le Patchouli, but also Le Patchouli Elixir. We've got Dolce Riviera, which used to be called Patchouli Blanc. And then we have Rose Tentation, which used to be called Patchouli and Roses. Find out about these fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian, talking to you about the House of Reminiscence. Have you gotten your nose on their fragrances? Do let me know. Add a comment below. I consider Reminiscence's patchouli one of the best patchouli fragrances. I discovered it for the first time mid-2000s when I first started traveling to France. And I used to, run across jewelry stores called Reminiscence. And there they had their collection of fragrances as well. So this is my 3rd bottle of patchouli. Really love it. But as I said, the Reminiscence brand is no longer connected to the jewelry brand. It's a separate brand now. Fragrances separate, the jewelry is separate, and all of the fragrances have been rebranded. But let's start talking about the Le Patchouli, which used to be just called Patchouli. Now, this fragrance launched in the early 70s, by the way. If you aren't aware, it's definitely one of the first patchouli fragrances. And it's that kind of a chocolate cakey style of patchouli. And it's an overdose of patchouli, which is this earthy, woody note. Super sexy note, by the way. And it's meshed with kind of warmer, resinous, ambery notes. So it creates a kind of a dense chocolate cakey effect. And it's featuring the notes of patchouli essential oil, tonka beans, sandalwood, white musks, labdanum, vanilla, tolu balsam, vetiver, and cedarwood. So it's definitely a very earthy, woody experience, but it does get resinous and balsamic, very spicy and woody. Patchouli is considered a woody note. It's also part of the mint family. And so if you guys aren't aware and this is the first time you're landing on my channel, patchouli happens to be my favorite note, my number 1 favorite note. Absolutely love it. And there are some negative things that might be going around about patchouli. It was at one time used to cover up body odor, and I think it's associated with that, but it's no longer that. It's a great note in fragrances, and it's used quite a bit in a lot of fragrances. So just look up the notes breakdown for a lot of your fragrances. Patchouli can be found there quite a bit. But what they've done here with Le Patchouli, which is the OG patchouli from Reminiscence, and Le Patchouli Elixir, is that they are basically paying tribute to this note. This is a star note here. It's all about patchouli. It's not an afterthought. It's not a supporting player. It's the star. You gotta love patchouli to enjoy this, and definitely one of the best patchouli fragrances out there. Sure, it's vanillic. Sure, it's ambery. Sure, it's balsamic and resinous. You've got all these because they have balsamic notes in here and also resinous notes. The labdanum, considered a resinous note. It's got the tolu balsam, which is a balsamic note. So it's creating a kind of an ambery effect, which gives you the idea of a dense chocolate cake. That's what you get with a lot of patchouli fragrances that are focusing on the patchouli, which is the star patchouli. Sure, patchouli can go in different directions, not smell like that, or give you the idea of chocolate cake. But here with Le Patchouli, you do get it. Slightly also nuttiness in here as well. And I feel like it's the patchouli. There's this kind of a nutty, woody characteristic here. And it further complements the idea of chocolate cake. This is not a gourmand fragrance, by the way. It has gourmand type notes, but I wouldn't call it a gourmand. It's no chocolate here. It's just the idea of this very dense chocolate cake with an overdose of patchouli. It's super fantastic. If you haven't tried Le Patchouli, try it. And again, the bottle now comes in this kind of dark colored, amber colored bottle. But I do happen to have a OG of it right here in a 200 ml bottle that I will cherish forever because, fragrances are always changing, and the brand has separated from their jewelry brand. It's no longer jewelry anymore. It's just perfumes, and they have relaunched the fragrances. But you know, one thing I really love about patchouli and the patchouli fragrances from Reminiscence, they have great lingering power, especially the OG Le Patchouli and also the Le Patchouli Elixir, which I happen to really enjoy. So the OG Le Patchouli is Eau de Toilette Intense. The Le Patchouli Elixir is Eau de Parfum, so it's a bit more concentrated. And even though I feel like they're kind of similar fragrances, similar notes breakdowns, but the experience is different. This is a lot more dense compared to Le Patchouli. Some of you that are not like perfume wearers day in and day out might find the OG Le Patchouli to be perfectly dense and heavy enough. Some of you that enjoy the fragrances a lot more and you are constantly rotating fragrances, go right to the Elixir because it's super fantastic. It's even further luxurious, and it's a fine example of a really dense take on a patchouli fragrance. Really love it. As I said, I have the OG as well. The OG Le Patchouli Elixir. I've been a big fan of Reminiscence. I've got maybe some videos on the channel about the house, and also mentioned Reminiscence Patchouli many times on the channel. If you've been following me, you know I'm a fan of that fragrance. Big fan. And I love the Elixir a lot. The Elixir, as I said, takes you into a bit more of a luxurious direction. But this fragrance features notes of patchouli essential oil, tolu balsam, sandalwood, labdanum, tonka beans, vanilla, white musk, cedarwood, vetiver. Yeah, so if you can see, the notes breakdown is quite similar. This one gets more ambery and more dense, and the experience is a lot more amber focused, where even though the patchouli is still the star here, it's not as patchouli forward as the Le Patchouli, the OG. You experience the amber balsamic touches a lot more here, but don't think this doesn't have any patchouli in it. It has a ton of patchouli. It's still the star, but I feel like the ambery effect, the balsamic resinous effect, is a bit more amplified here in Le Patchouli Elixir in comparison to the OG Le Patchouli. It's so good. Really, really awesome. So yeah, it's gorgeous. It's super sexy too. I find the smell of patchouli to be super sexy. And the thing is, with these first two fragrances, the main star is the patchouli. You really experience the patchouli. There's other things happening, but the patchouli stands out. There's other fragrances like, remember, I worked on a fragrance with Juicebox called 54. And even though the patchouli was a star there too, there's a lot more things happening with it that are also competing with the patchouli. So you experience those other notes. Here, the patchouli, Le Patchouli, the OG, is like really the main star. It's the star there. It stands out quite a bit. With Le Patchouli Elixir, it's a bit more balanced out with the ambery resinous balsamic notes, but still the patchouli is pretty intense. But so fantastic here. Awesome. I still get a bit of nuttiness, and I think it's that combo of maybe the tonka beans gives me that, but I feel like it's the patchouli giving us an effect like that combined with the notes that are in here. But super awesome. Really, really great. Really love Le Patchouli Elixir. If you like it a little more dense, go right with Le Patchouli Elixir and skip the Le Patchouli. But if you don't want it intense, go right to the OG. I kind of like the OG bottle color as well, as you can see. All right, next we're going to talk about Dolce Riviera, which used to be called Patchouli Blanc. White patchouli prior to what is now Dolce Riviera, so I guess it's Sweet Riviera. So this one is a sweet take on patchouli, and the patchouli is not as strong as the OG patchouli, Le Patchouli or Le Patchouli Elixir. Those are, as I said, the main notes. Here, there's a lot more happening with it, and it does come off a bit more pure and white and clean because there's aldehydes in here, and I think this is giving us that kind of an effect, plus white musk. So it's patchouli, white musk, aldehydes. There's sandalwood, hawthorn, and badian, which is star anise. Those are the notes that are listed here. It's soft and spicy, and the patchouli, you know, it's there. It comes in, but it's cleaned up, especially with the fact that there's a lot of white musk and aldehydes, and it's sweetened up a little bit as well and made it soft with the star anise note. And it's quite aldehydic, so the aldehydes might remind you of something. If you've ever smelled Chanel No. 5, it's an aldehyde bomb. You'll be familiar with that kind of a smell. It's pretty prominent here, along with the fact that it's very musky. This is also powdery, and I forgot to mention the previous two fragrances are quite powdery as well. And aldehydes and white musk creates a lot more powdery touches. And here you have that experience as well. The patchouli is really nicely covered up. So the patchouli, it's actually less patchouli in Dolce Riviera in comparison to the Le Patchouli Elixir. It's just really, the white musk and the aldehydes are really, really dominating here with the patchouli. So it crosses out its, characteristics a lot more here. But you also have the star anise in here coming in. It's quite spicy that way, but there's woods and a bit of floral touches in the dry down as well. I personally prefer the first two, and even though I have a bottle of the Patchouli Blanc, which later became Dolce Riviera, I still prefer the previous two, especially, as I said, I love Le Patchouli Elixir. I just love the raw, it's almost like a raw take on patchouli, unadulterated, not covered up is what I should say. And in Dolce Riviera, it's quite covered up. Going back to 54 again from Juicebox, 54 does stand out with the patchouli. It's really prominent. Here, not so much. It's like the other notes are dominating over the patchouli, whereas in the 54 from Juicebox, it's nicely balanced out and kind of like equally standing out. But the fourth and final fragrance in the series of patchouli fragrances is called Rose Tentation. And this is formerly known as Patchouli and Roses. And the idea is similar to something like Portrait of a Lady by Frederic Malle. If you like that, definitely check this one out. It's got fruitiness where that Portrait of a Lady does as well. I find this to be a bit more chypre-like as well. Rose and patchouli together. It's a super sexy combination. But this is a overwhelming amount of roses with the patchouli, but it's also very spicy as well. And it smells super fantastic. And I remember the first time I smelled this fragrance. This fragrance, I believe, had come out originally, not in this bottle, when it was called Patchouli and Roses. I think it was in the later part of the 2000s or very early 2010s. I remember where I was and really enjoyed the smell of that fragrance. And it's here. It's got sweetness and fruitiness as well, and a lot of roses. It's got rose infusion, Damascena rose, centifolia rose, there's lychee fruit, vanilla, there's patchouli, and of course cedarwood. So it's quite woody, but it also at the same time being floral from the rose. It's an overwhelming amount of roses here, and you really experience it. But I feel like there's enough woods in this that kind of covers up the kind of like overwhelming floral quality of it. Still smells like roses though, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. I much prefer Rose Tentation over Dolce Riviera. Dolce Riviera, I like it. I'm not the biggest fan of aldehydes. I like aldehydes, but if I'm comparing between the two, I much prefer Rose Tentation over Dolce Riviera. But honestly, my favorite of the four patchouli fragrances is Le Patchouli Elixir, followed by Le Patchouli the OG, and then we've got Rose Tentation, and then of course Dolce Riviera. Let me know if you've sampled these fragrances and what are your thoughts. Were you a fan of the OG patchouli fragrances from Reminiscence? Remember I mentioned the OG launched in the early 70s. So it's been around for a long, long time. It stood this test of time. People tend to like these kind of fragrances. They're strong. And what I love about patchouli is the lingering power. It's the kind of note that stays on the skin longer than other notes because it's such a strong and distinct smell. It doesn't really fade away as fast as other notes. And that's what I like about it. And if you like fragrances that linger on, garners you compliments, which is what happens with fragrances that feature patchouli, definitely check these ones out. I highly recommend them. But let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Add a comment below if you've sampled them. And thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please do like this video and please share it and follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. And also, just to let you know, please do thumb up this video. Please do a like so it'll help with the algorithm. And please make sure if you're subscribed, click this subscribe button and click that bell icon as well so that you'll be notified for the future videos that I'm launching. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye. All right, I'm going to talk to you about one more fragrance, which we recently featured in our mystery box. It's from the House of Reminiscence. It's a classic, Le Rem. This is also a long-standing fragrance from this house, just like the OG Le Patchouli, which used to be called Le Patchouli. I don't remember the original name for this one. I can't remember. I apologize. I didn't check it up. I think it was called Rem, or maybe it was always called La Rem. But this is an eau de toilette intense as well. It's also a marine fragrance, slightly beachy leaning, but it has an overdose of fenugreek. There's C notes, which is cologne, vanilla, tonka beans, white musk, patchouli, lilac, and jasmine. Let me know what your thoughts are on this one. I think it makes for a great beachy marine fragrance to wear. My nose is adjusting to the marine notes. I used to be opposed to them a lot more, especially the ones that have cologne in them. But this one has this kind of creamy, almost like sunscreen-like effect happening with the vanilla and tonka. And so I've kind of adjusted to it. And it makes for a very easy to wear fragrance any time of the year. If you want to smell like the beach or the sea or the coast or something. It's got a lot of sea breezy touches. It's got spices. There's the warm vanillic notes, the musks in here, light touches of patchouli. I wouldn't call this a patchouli, and it's not part of the, the 4 patchouli fragrances. But there's a bit of it in there to give it some strength and depth. And then, of course, you've got the floral notes along the way as well. I think it's a pleasant fragrance. If you like the idea of a sea breeze type fragrance, beachy, marine, of course, definitely check out La Rem from the house of Reminiscence. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.